My name is Jessica Holyfield, and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And we're going to be taking a look at We Don't Stop by Xikers, not only their dance practice, but we're going to look at the performance version and their music video all in one go, and then we're going to take a look at, most likely, the dance practice to take a look at an analytical standpoint from their choreography. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check it out. That was fun. Definitely has a lot of hip-hop influence, like I would say the old school hip-hop, a little bit of breaking influence, light beat influence as well. I like that. Hey, good tension on this one. This one is not nearly as physically demanding as some of their earlier stuff from last year, which I am personally a fan of. And sometimes you gotta have some breathers. I would consider this a breather choreo. Yeah. Fun. A little, yeah, they got a lot of like viral influence in this too. A little bit of smees, a little city boy shuffle energy on that one. Yeah. Hey, that was good. And Hunter's blending in so much more in this. I was just talking about it in another video. So, good stuff, good stuff. Nice. Like that. Really great way to showcase their personalities. I like the tension and the breather of the chest for some of that too. It makes it a really nice heartbeat. Yep. Yeah, okay, okay. Okay. Honestly, that Umbro quarter zip's pretty nice. I like they all went for a nice little grayscale action, little white neutrals too. I'm a personal fan of the Umbro fit. I would totally put that in my wardrobe. Easy. We don't stop, man. With the BPM change, yep. Hey. This is a proper way to do a dance center. Yes. Yep. And I like the fact they chose to go with that fixed point action from Hunter as well, because he's really, really good at doing that fixed point with the rotation. Nice. That was very, very enjoyable. Now, let's go look at the performance version. I like whenever it has a whoop, like that kind of sound. We have a lot of that action happening. I'm a fan of the puffer fit too. It's a fellow airbag vest right here. Hey, we don't stop. Fun. Oh, that was a really cool masking effect. Mask transition, I think is what we call that, right? Hey. It's a pretty trippy room. What's interesting though is I feel their dance practice, I think, showcases more of their individual authentic personalities. Here it does feel like they're trying a bit too hard. Some of them, not all of them. But sometimes it just comes with the territory. When you're doing a performance version, sometimes you go a little bit more full or extroverted in your performance, if that makes sense. I also appreciate the anticlimactic setup that they have for Hunter in the center on this too. It's fun. Yeah. Hey. This makes me very intrigued on their music video because I like the choreo a lot. Nice. Okay. It's music video time. Let's do it. I got my English subtitles on. It is giving Little Boy Next Door vibes, but it's because I've seen a couple of their stuff and they're known for their door stuff. Round and round and round and round. It does sound like he's saying run and run and run and run, but I get it. That was a good choreography choice to have him featured in that way. That's something I've always really liked with how they set up xikers choreo. It's good. That was cute. That was fun.
We don't stop, man.
Ah, that was a cool cinematic choice. Okay, cool. So there's really one thing that I do want to point out that I did notice in the music video specifically. So there's a movement that they do. It does look like a crip walk variant, and so that's not technically considered a hip hop move. It's considered a gang dance. So that one's there's like certain movements or certain transitions that are used a lot of times in just choreography that can be more sensitive if you, depending on context of how you choose to do the movement and what you're wearing when you're doing it and where you're choosing to do it. Like that kind of stuff matters. So for me, I'm just more so like just the information, like letting you know about that information. I think one of them, here we go. So if you notice, he is wearing a blue bandana. Blue is, so if you don't know, I think it's in California and LA, I think specifically, you have the Bloods and the Crips. So those are like one of the most well-known, like opposed, there's other groups of course, but it's the most opposed gangs. And gangster rap developed out of the West Coast. And part of that is some of the rappers of the age were affiliated with Bloods or Crips. So it's definitely something that is very much ingrained into the hip hop sound, is that kind of lyricism and that kind of empathetic lens onto the ongoing of that time period, at least during that inception period, right? So that's just something to always just be mindful of. Is this a conscious choice? Potentially. I mean, we do have some like minor blue representation and from other individuals, so it could just be just to make it more cohesive, but it did look like they were doing a crip walk variant, so it's not like the actual crip walk, but it's simply because I'm seeing the blue bandana and that is the Crips color. Bloods are the red, and Crips are blue. If you want to see, just side note, if you actually want to see like crip walk in proper context in like a media establishment, watch the Super Bowl with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. And Snoop Dogg, that right there, this right here, that's a little city boy rock. But yeah, you notice that it's not, I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't really claim it as a crip walk, but or a C walk or something like that. So just kind of keep that. That's just a little nugget of information for you. But we're gonna go to the dance practice now and do an analysis. All right, we are back here. So I'm a fan of the breathability of this. So there's a huge amount of potential for them to be able to go really, really full out, but also showcase a lot of breathing moments. So I do see a lot of practicality in their live potential of singing live here in comparison to some of their other stuff like Tricky House or just the early stuff, Rockstar. Those are brutal on a physicality scale. So that would be, honestly, would be so freaking shocked if they were stable doing those because of just the physical demand of them. But it doesn't discredit the truly impressiveness of it. But going to here, it does have a heavy hip-hop influence in choreography. Now we're doing more of a, it looks like they're hitting, I'm trying to see, are they... Okay, they're choosing to go with the torso to kind of shake and create that vibration. Some people used to call that ticking. It is not ticking. Vibration is a technique that is used to enhance styles. Ticking is its own style. So keep that in mind in the back of your head. When you look at the boogaloo umbrella, not popping umbrella, boogaloo umbrella, you would see ticking has its own wheelhouse of techniques, and vibration is what you see there, where you go from point A to point B. It's similar to a vibrato, which is going between two different notes on a vocal expression. But here, I could be, remember I am studying music. I'm studying music psychology, music cognition, and being better at practicing and performance. I am not a professional musician. Please keep that in mind. So some of my terminology may not overlap as effectively between the music side of definitions and the dance side of definitions. A lot of it is hybrid in reference. Keep that in mind. But anyway, but I do like having your feature there, and then he goes and he hits it. They all break away. Really like that choice. That little brum, brum, brum. Notice he's doing a little, you know, sound play, making it look like he's creating a little guitar there, making it boom right there. Right here, it looks like that is a new school Indian top rock, is what you see there. They're taking it over to the other side. The BPM is a really great BPM for doing top rock variants on this. Taking it hit, and they do a nice little crisscross, turning it around, switching it through. Then they do a tone wop out in right after that. They are different. You have Indian top rock. It's more in reference to what you see in breaking, and then you see here it's in more reference like a tone wop. You do see in hip hop, but you mostly have it referred to in light feet. So I do like it where they go and they kind of vibe and mesh it out. Nice little tap, do, nice syncopation of that. Super fun. There was somebody who commented on one of my videos earlier talking about like the musician side of syncopation, and it was a brilliant definition. I'll have to go back and like make sure I take my notes, because when I use syncopation, I do need to keep that in the forefront of my mind when I go to explain it, at least. But I really like this little add-on right there, and then you have one of your features. He goes, he hits it. It was a nice moment. And then we have a little honestly, I would give that a little chug. Would I call that a sneeze? No, I don't know if I'd call it a sneeze. I mean, I think originally, I think it's because of the lower half of the body and how they're doing that in their transition, but then on their way back, like how they choose to do their arms is a little different. So forgive me if I did call that something different, but there's a good chance it could be that. I like the MVP where we go from stage right, stage left, and then up the center. And then you have your feature more low in comparison to everybody else. So great level establishment there. Make it very subtle, very conversational. Love that. Nice little throw. So they don't have as much dated viral movements like the sturdy. That's been something that's been popping up on a lot of Gen 5 choreo. So it is kind of nice we have a breather from it, because they did use that a couple of times. I think it was Homeboy and Rockstar respectively. And it can make your movement look a little bit over replicated in terms of not switching up the texture or dynamic enough within those movements you're choosing to bring. But here they did a really good job of the Harlem Shake, and then creating a nice reveal, curtain reveal to your next dancer. I love that with the switch out. That was super fun. Digging it through, nice little clap, usage of the torso to do a little body roll to come up. Now this right here, this nice little jump rope action, you do see a variant of that in a mic drop, if you've ever looked at that. Or in Rush Hour featuring J-Hope, he does that in the second chorus because it looks like the mic drop choreo. Here they're doing more like a double Dutch kind of vibe, which is really nice. And notice that he's the only one, my feature that's over here, he's the only one who does something different in his hands, and that made it really easy for us to tell who is featured there, even though everybody's at the same level. So that was really nice, going hit, and then we drop it down, new feature, great levels represented, boom, 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 nice usage of the footwork, da-da-da-da-da, with a double tap down. Then you have another feature go in, complementing what just happened there. There's a little Harlem Shake once again, but they lift up the feet, and it's more in unison on that, which is really nice. And notice too, I haven't really talked too much about range as much. I've just kind of been itemizing their movements, which I think is really fun. Their range are doing a freaking great job. No one is sticking out in a good way or in a bad way, which is great. When I say good way, it means that they're dancing to such a degree that's like, oh my God, everybody needs to be at that level, because that can end up being a backhanded compliment to the group, even though you have somebody that stands out. Or bad way, meaning somebody's not holding their own choreographically and they're sticking out in a way that is depreciating the choreography of the group. So no one is doing that. It feels like a group, and I like that. It looks great. So I like this, really complimentary of my guy over on stage left. Then you have another guy over on here. He goes and he switches it, boom, 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 boom. Notice how we have a lot of these kind of like stall outs or these little jerk transitions, which I really like. And it showcases more texture shifts and more groove shifts in this. There is groove in this, and I'm very happy about it because groove originates in the torso. A lot of people say it's like your arms and extremities. It's not your torso. You can double check that with a lot of hip hop heads, but that's something that I've heard from multiple sources. Groove comes from the torso. Well, it's nice having your first feature go, and then everybody kind of tailors to that. And you have your new feature over on the side. I love that there. Now you have some of them that are kind of over rotated. They're body over to the side, some have leaned, but everyone's taking a subtly different way of leaning, so it feels more individualized, hence why I'm not really saying anything about it, like that needs to be cleaned up. I don't think the intention of it was to be like this super clean, squeaky clean choreo. Does that make sense? Because when you think about hip-hop, part of it is the communal aspect of it, part of it is you want to see that rock and bounce, and everyone's flavor is going to be slightly different, but everyone's schema, or like everybody's way of physically doing the movement in range and in timing needs to be in check, but how everybody does it in essence can be slightly different. So this little note here, this is really fun. I like that where he grabs it, he looks out of response, and he's still shaking his fist. It's really nice. It kind of tailors into that very beginning fingerprint of everybody shaking. Everyone looks concerned. Notice for me, it just feels like a more authentic, I don't know, kind of performance. Yes, it is more exaggerated, but it doesn't feel like we're playing a character. Does that make sense? It feels like this is us. You know what I mean? And that's my preference at the end of the day, because that's who they have to live with is themselves, and I'd rather enjoy watching them be themselves than them try to play a character, especially whenever you teeter on a culture. Like that's where it can get really tricky, just depending on how you do it. I would say T.O. Yeah, from Road to Kingdom is a great example of, there was a challenge they did, and I think it was their last one that they were a part of in the show, spoiler alert, that I made some notes about that, because you don't want to take a culture and make it not a parody, but like don't make it like a costume party. Does that make sense? So, but here in this case, it doesn't quite feel that way. They do carry a really nice authenticity with how they're choosing to rock and bounce, which I really like. Super fun. I like that punches there, ba-da-da-da, boom. Notice that they're using, I physically can't do it right now. I'm still recovering from my new tattoo, but as they hit the tension, I'm trying to think without physically doing it. Usage of the back is really nice here to still get those arms nice and strong, but taking the energy and throwing it. That range is super nice, and then taking the legs, making it a nice little moment. The subtlety, but the unison is what made it look bigger, and a nice little breathable moment, and showcase punctuation in that sentence of movement. Super cool. Like they take a bodada and they throw it once again, sliding it in. Really nice. They do a great job on formations of taking it and condensing it, but still making it easy to see people for the most part. Yeah. Ta, ta, ta. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're still operating with 9. I'm assuming that one of our guys is still in recovery because they did debut as 10. I hope we get to see him in a comeback in the future. I do know with some types of injuries, the longer we recover, the better it's going to be. I know with some members from 17, they had injuries they are just recently released to do subtle promotions with, so I understand the difficulty in the navigation of that. So I do hope we get to see this group as a group of 10 in the next comeback, but at last we are here at 9, so I think that's just a lot of choreo to catch up on. I think it's just my personal note, but hopefully he's recovering well. Love that. It was a nice little basketball kind of groove. Whenever you see people kind of swing in between the opening and the legs in that type of, that kind of jerking motion, it does come across like you're kind of dribbling a basketball would be kind of your word play on that. Hitting it through. Notice we have a rock and we have a bounce that's happening here. It's kind of a little MC rock action, which I really like. Just did it nice and subtle. They take it. I like the little pucha. I love letting that head go before they transition over. Nice and subtle. Round and round. And we don't stop. It's nice. It's chill. Now this is where, of course, we had that, what is it? That C walk, that crip walk variant come into play here. He doesn't do like I wouldn't call it like an actual crip walk. I don't think he is. I mean, unless I'm just completely forgetting, but I wouldn't really think anything of it, honestly. I think it's fine. And then right here, they're doing that little, was it the City Boy rock, right? No, it's not a City Boy rock, it's a City Rock, right? Boom, boom, boom. City Boy Rio is the one who accepted it. That's what it is. City Boy Shuffle. City Rock Shuffle? City Rock Shuffle! Oh my gosh, yeah. So that's something that you originally saw in like Renegade, like the OG viral stuff of TikTok. Yeah, like that's where that is. So it's nice to kind of see that here. It showcases virality, but not how they did it is they mess with the BPM of it, they mess with the speed, they mess with like the variant of it. So that's why for me, like that was a properly placed viral move that still made it not feel like we're dating this routine or making it look a little bit aged. Does that make sense? And I've talked about that with a couple of ATEEZ's earlier works, and I did say it about, I think it was with Homeboy. because I saw some of their stuff with Rockstar, and then I saw it replicated over in Homeboy, so I made a note about that. But here I like that, you know, like kind of draw out, then having him walk away or being carried away, which is fun. I like having your feature in the center, everybody else doing the same thing. I really like. Nice little rock, you know, switching it up, different spots. I like that. Boom, really fun. That one nice usage of the shoulders, so a nice little accent. There's your little boom, boom. So it's nice instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 1, 3. I can't count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Counting's hard. Okay. Anyway, you can tell it is varied. It's not an even count. Boom. That would be a nice little rhythm change. That was fun. Dun dun. I like the fullness of range he has as he rotated. Looked fun. Notice right here, he's not doing anything crazy. I'm very, very proud of the fact that he is not sticking out. That was a really big note I made of Tricky House because I physically have done Tricky House, so I understand how flexible. I really think his hip flexors and his shoulders are very flexible. Maybe hyperextended, I could even question. I don't know him. I haven't had a conversation with these individuals. I haven't worked with them, so I couldn't technically tell you that, nor have I seen enough behind the scenes to know that. But he does have hyperextension, I bet you, in one of those facets because of his fixed point range when he chooses to rotate around. He has great hip flexors because whenever I physically did that fixed point range in Tricky House, you can go look, I cannot go as low as him because my hip flexor is not flexible enough to do it, but I can still get the fixed point. I'm just not as low. And so notice here, they do end up doing that little fixed point action again, but it was more of a feature moment, not as much as like what it was where they kind of took and added a little accent to it. Oof. But all that to say, he really stuck out in there, meaning he was freaking phenomenal in how he did the choreography. But the downside is it kind of made everybody else not be able to look up to snuff to the same degree. And that's the exact point that I have been talking about a lot with xikers. They're like probably the biggest, not offenders, but they're the ones I notice it the most in. But I think they've also showcased the best progression in meshing and becoming more cohesive as a group. I would say Kiss of Life is another example of having members who are obviously very talented as physical movers, and then others who dance, but they're not to the same degree as some of the other girls. They all match in energy now. And that's what you want to have in a group. Now, if it's solo activities, who cares? Like, it's great, you know? Show up, show out. But in a group, you got to make it cohesive. That's part of the vibe and the joy you want to have as a group. So, but I like that. You did a great job there. I love that. Great accent. Yep. And then we all come in. Doom, doom. Drumming it down. Everybody bounces in. A little switching. That right there, a little crazy for him. Little fingerprint. I like that. Boom. And taking it with the hand. Really great way to showcase his accent there. And then you have my guy. He uses both hands and everybody else stays and does the same thing on both sides. Digging it through, I like that. DDD. Then they doubled it on one side. It was nice. Instead of just making it even on both sides, they varied it. It was nice, subtle, and effective. He takes it, and then he goes and he catches the energy instead of grabbing his hand. And then everyone kind of rotates circular to get to a new spot, which I really like that transition choice. Like the and then we take it. He goes boom, boom. Nice tension there. There's also a side note. My guy right here, he does remind me of one of the members of Jet Boy Bangers, who is a part of Cyber Agent Legit. That is exactly who he reminds me of. Not Takumi, it's a different guy. But he does give off a very similar energy that he does, and I say that as a compliment. Like, it's just similar in nature to me. So anyway, it's just a complete side note. I like that he takes it, that nice little accent to the side. Everybody takes it over. They throw it. Nice energy, little ponies. I love that. Range on this looked freaking clean. I love that. Just taking it through, nice little gun. But notice that instead of having the fingers out, they took it here. So if you don't know, if you've never held a gun before, like a typical, like a standard, like, what do they call it, like a Glock? I don't know. I would say like Ruger. That's like a brand or something. But how you'd hold it is you would have your hands, typically you would actually have it like this. And then you would have this would be like on the trigger, but you don't want to have your hand on the trigger unless you're going to shoot. So you would have it at the bottom. So, but this would be like where your trigger hand is. It wraps around that trigger, right? And then this one would be hitting it back to reload. It just kind of depends. But anyway, that is what this kind of gives. And normally you would have something like this, but I think they did both, right? See, now I'm just curious. Hold on. Yeah, so it's like they had two guns in their hands. So notice that this gives off a very different, more full energy than with the two guns. Two guns feels like we have independence on both hands, but we're on a common cause. It's two hands operating that create one big impact with a bigger recoil. So that's why the difference between here and here, it does make a difference, because these, you can have more flexibility in the wrist. Here, only one of them should be getting flexibility. Does that kind of make sense? So that's like the beauty of knowing the difference between the two, because it gives off different energy, and the timbres that you're playing around with, sound context, tonal colors, that is, you know, that's going to also affect how it comes across. Gosh, I love it. I love watching dance. It's so fun. Anyway, I like having my feature. He goes and he transitions back. Nice little clap, nice little steps. Looks great. The subtlety there, woo, with a nice little kick. Super fun, super good. And then having my guidance center be way more subtle, not really marching at all. He's kind of hanging out, but still doing the upper body, so he still looks clean. He takes it da-da-da-da-da-da. Upper body meaning torso, not in arms. Arms, he's still different. So that's why he looks clean, but still cohesive, but still different. I like that right here. Of course, we have that little variant once again. But I like that. It's like the most subtle, subtle thing ever. It's really fun. That little really great on the sound. And then you have another guy, Mr. Umbro right here. Freaking love that quarter zip. The switch over. Love that with the kick. Like that with the boom da 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 with the switch, with the head accent on that, which is really fun. Take it around the back. Hey! He goes, he catches it. Little hit them folks. Action. Then you have one of our guys, and we start an add-on in the back. Dee-dee-dee. Dee-dee-dee. Nice little bounce happening. I feel like they've done something like that before, or I've just seen a Gen 5 group do it before, even if it's not them. Like they're hitting that boom 1, 2, 3. Notice that they're accenting and they're dropping in a little bit lower and lower. And then they take it right here. Dun, 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 dun. And we're about to drop that BPM a little bit lower. We don't stop, man. It's funny. They throw it. And I love that you have just Hunter right here. Nice and chill. Everybody else is nice and low. Then they take it, and then they all completely drop that energy. I love it. They're taking it. The chest is what is creating, the chest in the very back is what's creating this really nice rock, but more like a legato. It's like milky, right? It's not stiff. It has this tug and pull about it, and that's what I really, really like about it. And we also have levels represented as well. Looks great. And the symmetry. Chef's kiss. I love it. And then right here, one shot, everybody looks over to the side, and then they go, he takes it, boom. And I like, honestly, I think he made different choices every time. Very subtle though, but I like how he took it. And this is different than this, right? So he didn't accent here, he pulled using the elbows, which is different, but it did tailor into what we saw earlier. So I like that. He takes it, they all go here, they brush, he goes nice and subtle, so it's complementary to what everybody else is doing, but he's still noticing everybody. It's important that everybody's on the same page in terms of where their bodies are aligned, and they definitely showcase that. It looks great. And notice with Hunter, he actually has his body more towards us, or at a diagonal. Theirs is more side, his is at a diagonal, but notice he compensates usage of the chest isolation, so he's still in line angle wise like everybody else, even though they're all facing different directions. That's smart. Very smart. Love that. Little clap, boom, they take it, boom, boom, nice little swipe over. That run looks great. He takes it, now there we go. He kicks it around, whee! And he has a nice little fixed point with his head. Great hip flexors, if you ask me, truly. And I would say great shoulder mobility and hip mobility. Everybody's dropped. Love that boom and drop, and then we're picking it up. This does have a little bit of complementary to the Doke B cheap choreo, to Tricky House. I mean, not entirely, but I see the fingerprints. Yes, I do know it's probably BB tripping on this, which is great. I love BB tripping stuff on xikers especially. It looks awesome. But that's just a little side note though, that you see a little fingerprints where they're kind of tailoring into their Doke B kind of theme a little bit, with some of those little choices that tailor into the Inception track, if that makes sense. They take it, boom. I like the stability of on how they chose to rotate. Some of them were on both feet, some were on one foot, so I like the variety. And everybody stopped at the same time. They all spotted, I think, the same way, but let's go ahead and double check it. No, they didn't. So everybody made their own kind of choice, but everybody finished around the same general area, which made it work. So as long as everybody was down, they crisscross, even though we have some individuality coming out of it, The range is still pretty good in terms of how full their lower body's going, hence why it doesn't feel too crazy. And they've already showcased competency in unison, and when they are individualized, they don't take away from what's going on in the group. It still feels like a group with a feature, not here's my soloist and here's everybody else. Does that make sense? So here, this, even though it's not as refined, it still showcases the essence of what is beautiful about a rock and a bounce, and everybody showcasing their own individuality. But like I said, showcasing great range and timing in terms of dropping down, bringing it back up in your prep before you transition to your next move. Looks great. Love that right there. Boom, boom. Those little details. Everyone's different, but the dynamic is the same, hence why it still looks clean. Love that. And then digging it through that. I love that right there. A little Harlem Shake, but notice it was a little bit more stiff. Here's why I'm not going to say that they did it wrong. They didn't. Because I showcased a really nice variant of Harlem Shake earlier, so for me, that felt like a very logistical, specific, intentional choice. It wasn't a, oh, they can't Harlem Shake, so we got to modify it. It wasn't that at all. And that's why there's beauty in being able to see if you could showcase your ability to do something well, even if it's in a previous track, hence the beauty of watching all of these in their order for myself. You're able to be able to look at a move that they do and not assume that it's because they don't know what's going on. They do know what's going on. They know how to do a Harlem Shake, because we literally just saw it about 2 minutes ago in the track. But that they did is they chose to vary it up, making the arms more of an accent and not the shoulders. So that helped me appreciate the choreographic choice more because of how they contextualized it earlier in the piece, which is nice. Turning it down around once again, and then they drop it down. Everybody chose to throw their arms, even though it's all in different directions. It would have been awkward if only one of them did and everybody else was still. It kind of felt like we're not on the same page, but it felt like everybody was on the same page in terms of how they were going to execute, which is why it made it feel more communal and more as a group. So in general, I really like this, and I'm glad that they have technically a breather routine, because this one is in comparison to some of their other stuff, and it's really fun to have been able to take a look at this, knowing what I know now. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. If you want to see more Xikers, I do have a couple more early released content from Xikers on Patreon, but I do have some of it already released on YouTube. If you want in on when things get released as I make them, I always post on Patreon first, and sometimes it takes a couple days, or sometimes a week or a month. It just depends on what the group is, when it was made, things like that. So if you want to be a part of it as it's happening, Patreon's a really great way to do that, and a really great support for me to be able to make as much content as I do. I really have a lot of fun with it, and I always want to be able to continue to healthily do it. And that's a really great way to continue to do that well and steward it well. So once again, my name is Jess. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.